WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom today is Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator at the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. Caitlin, good to see you this morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. It's bright. It's sunshiny. I've got my tea ready.
You're ready to roll.
Let's do it.
Caitlin, so I don't know about you. I don't know about our listeners, our viewers. My social media the last week has been inundated with this diarrhea lettuce outbreak. What is this? What is going on? I have to confess, I've done zero research on this, so I have no idea what I'm looking at when this stuff pops up. What is going on here?
Yeah, so we have a cyclospora outbreak going on right now in the US, primarily concentrated in Michigan and a couple of the other like eastern states. And so Illinois, fortunately, the number of reported cases is very low. But I thought this would be a good topic to talk about because, as you said, your social media is just there's stories everywhere about this. I'm sure a lot of people listening have been hearing about this. So I figured I'd start with what is an outbreak? And so in a case like this, we're looking at a minimum of 2 cases. So certainly we've passed that, where people are eating a similar food. And so that is where we're able to link, like, what is this food? What is the outbreak? And currently there's been no reported specific food or company that the outbreak has been traced to just yet. But typically, as you talked about lettuce, a lot of fresh produce is more likely to be contaminated with a lot of our different types of foodborne illnesses, so the different bacteria, viruses, or in this case, the parasite. And so we can really look at being food safe with the fresh produce that we're getting. So if you're getting fresh produce right now, so thinking about like lettuce, bagged lettuce can be a higher risk food than, say, buying a separate head of lettuce and peeling off the outer leaves and cutting up the lettuce into pieces yourself, because we get the work being done at that company level. So a worker is chopping up that lettuce, they're washing before that lettuce goes into the bag and goes off to get delivered to your store. Versus if you are buying that whole head of lettuce, we recommend peeling off the first layer or two of those outer leaves and then cutting up that lettuce yourself really can be a safety net for reducing that contamination, because you're the one that's you're the only person that's touching that lettuce, you're washing that. And the benefit of something like a parasite, we can, and a lot of other foodborne illnesses, we can wash them off. So I think the thing that gets skipped with washing produce is first wash your hands, right? So we're starting with clean hands before we do that. So we've all gone through COVID, we've all gotten that refresher on hand washing, so 20 seconds with soap and water. And then same for produce. So we don't need the soap part for produce, but we do want to have 20 seconds of water touching our fruits and vegetables. So that sounds like a long time. I know I've watched a lot of, I do some trainings with different restaurants and food services, and it's pretty, common that we need that training to remind people, okay, we're not just rinsing that apple for 1, 2, 3 and pulling it off from the water. We're actually giving it some time under that running water to give that friction of that water hitting our fruits and vegetables to wash off any soil residue, maybe any pesticide residue, and then in this case, some of our different bacteria, viruses, and parasites. So we're going to talk a little bit more on food safety here in a bit.
Yeah, for sure. So is this something we need to be, like you said, the layer of packaged lettuce where, you buy it shredded, you buy it already chopped up, whatever the case is. Right now, is that a better practice than to just buy like that head of lettuce and chop it up yourself? Or, I guess where do you fall on what you know about this cyclospora
Yeah.
outbreak?
Yeah, so right now, because we're still waiting to hear what the confirmed food or foods are. So we're being very just cautionary with our recommendations on, you may want to look at eating more cooked produce. So instead of maybe salads for the next week or two, while federal agencies and food safety agencies are figuring out the source, you may want to switch to just more cooked fruits and vegetables for this next week or two. So instead of having that lettuce, look at maybe doing more cooked broccoli, doing corn, doing maybe some zucchini. That's coming into summer with zucchini. So maybe focusing on some of the cooked produce for a while. Same for canned vegetables right now and fruit. It can be a great option because those have been heat treated inside the can. So they're going to be a really safe food source to have those fruits and vegetables. And then when it comes to the fresh produce, we can certainly just be rinsing our foods under water, that 20 seconds. But right now, we're going to actually recommend doing more of the food prep yourself. So doing more of cutting up the heads of lettuce if you want to have that fresh salad, and taking that whole head of lettuce, whether you're buying maybe a head of romaine or like a butter bib type lettuce, peel off those couple outer layers first, wash your lettuce at that point. And so we're going to rely less for the next maybe week or two. Well, hopefully we'll get some answers sooner than later. So instead of the bagged lettuce for right now, I'm going to recommend doing the whole heads of lettuce if you really want that salad. But if you have the opportunity to cook more of your fruits and vegetables, this can be a good option, especially if you've got small kids in your house, if you've got anyone that has chronic health conditions and might be more susceptible to food poisoning. That's going to be a good thing to maybe switch them over to for a little bit.
What do we know about cyclospora? I mean, is it deadly? I mean, is it just give you the tummy aches? I mean, what do we know about the side effects of this?
Right, so it is a parasite. So it is just going to have a lot of gut uh, symptoms. So you talked about diarrhea before, so definitely people having nausea, with maybe their stomach feeling upset, but definitely the diarrhea piece. And so if you are having repeat symptoms of diarrhea over the next couple of weeks, it's probably a pretty smart assumption that cyclospora might have been in the foods that you've been eating over the last week or two. So if you have like occasional diarrhea anyway, like that's just your gut has maybe had some challenges, that's probably not your issue. But if you have this repeat over the next couple of weeks where you just seem to be on the toilet unexpectedly, and every couple of days or day or two you're back on the toilet unexpectedly, it's probably a good sign that it might be cyclospora. It's not very low cases. It's not considered deadly, so there haven't been any deaths associated with it, which is good. But because of the diarrhea piece, especially if you are a higher risk person, again, little kids, people with chronic health conditions, that diarrhea can lead to dehydration. And so we do want to make sure that people that are having a lot of diarrhea, just if they're able to do home care, we're focusing on fluids, have that chicken noodle soup, have maybe some electrolyte based drinks like Gatorade. And then if it's still really challenging, certainly seek medical treatment.
Caitlin, you're taking us down a path of the immature boy humor. I'm not gonna lie. Me and my friends are not immune to this. We're almost 40 something dudes now. We're not immune to this, but you're almost taking us down a dangerous path.
That's okay. We got to make some fun of this. We got to make some fun of this.
Yeah, for sure. No. So generally, you're basically saying, maybe choose that whole head of lettuce. I've always thought it's just standard practice to remove those outer heads anyways, and then chop or dice or whatever it is you do. So you're saying maybe buy that whole head of lettuce and chop up from there, basically, instead of maybe that packaged for a little bit.
Yep, yeah, and we know that cyclospora, that parasite, is killed upon cooking. So if we're doing any type of heat treating, so if you're doing like a sheet pan dinner, so you're doing potatoes and vegetables and a protein, by cooking your foods and even like your berries. So berries are harder to clean just because they've got so many different small surfaces. So even something like popping it in the microwave, you can have like a little warm berry compote kind of thing for your meal instead of whole berries. So there's ways to kind of get some fun with, even though we're having really unfun pleasant times for some people right now with diarrhea, but you can try some new food options, with this, give you the opportunity to try some new recipes, especially trying those cooked things just to reduce that risk further. But again, currently Illinois has had very few cases. Not to say that that won't change, but currently we're low risk. So feel confident. And then of course we can always look at the safety of, if have a local grower in your area that you do have farmers markets or roadside stands, you can certainly ask them about their practices. A lot of the concern is usually either people packaging food, right? If their hands are not clean while they're packaging food up, that can be a way to contaminate, or the water that's being used, if that water has been unclean for some, been contaminated somehow, that is a way to introduce parasites and other organisms. So if you talk to your local growers, especially if you buy from them, you can always ask them like, hey, do you test your water? If you're using a well water, you can always ask, hey, do you get that tested? How's your well water? Or if they're using, city water source, certainly that's already been pre-treated. So right now, a lot of stuff that we're hearing, but focus just on good hand washing, focus on washing your fresh vegetables and fruits. And if you desire, maybe shift to cooking those foods right now for the next week or two. Hopefully we'll hear some more definitive answers on where this outbreak is coming from and what specific foods we might need to avoid for a little bit. But for right now, we're kind of doing a blanket avoid some of our fresh produce, and just by maybe cooking it instead, or being food safe about it, washing hands, washing produce.
Very good, very good. Let's stay away from the diarrhea lettuce. Very good.
Yep.
Caitlin, on that note, that ate up 11 and a half minutes for us here this morning. I'll tell you what, let's take a break, come back with some more. Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator with the University of Illinois Extension, our guest on the Zoom today. More to come with Caitlin coming up on the morning show. WHOW. Here's Matt Hart, owner of the Hart Media Group in Clinton, talking about continuing to serve the community through new ownership.
Things came together and we reached an agreement to purchase. And as you mentioned, we closed August the 1st. So as August the 1st, Miller Media Group is now Hart Media Group. Mm-hmm. And we're continuing to serve the people of Clinton and DeWitt County and Monticello and Bloomington and Decatur and everywhere, because we'll just keep connecting people as we've been doing.
The Hart Media Group looks forward to continuing to serve the community for years to come.
Hey, it's Shane from Highway 51 Exchange, your mower and equipment service pros just south of Clinton. Click our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com or give us a call to schedule your free pickup and delivery today. Highway 51 Exchange.
Spring brings brighter days and more time to enjoy them. Your home should too. At Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, enjoy one-story living and walking paths right outside your door. Spend less time on upkeep and more time enjoying spring. To learn more, click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Looking for the perfect summer night? Head to Decatur and cheer on the Decatur Beanballers. Experience exciting summer collegiate baseball, affordable family fun, great promotions, and an unforgettable atmosphere at the ballpark. Get your tickets and schedule at beanballers.com and catch Decatur Beanballers highlights all summer long on IL Sportswire.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Ace now offers free assembly and free delivery, so it's never been easier to get a great grill for your family, like a Weber gas grill, a Traeger wood pellet grill, or a Big Green Egg charcoal grill. Only at your neighborhood Ace. Around the block, what you need in stock, with people who know their grills.
This is Brad from Gibson Ace Hardware in Clinton, Illinois. Stop in to see us, the helpful place at 114 North Madison Street, Clinton.
See participating store for details.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest on the Zoom today, Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator with the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. Caitlin, let's talk summer produce. I am starting to see those summer produce stands popping up in the communities we visit, and it's the season. Even even our local grocery stores starting to highlight, the local producers and their tomatoes and corn and all the things. Let's highlight summer produce. What do we know? What should we keep in mind?
Yeah, I am so excited. This is like sweet corn just makes me happy every summer when that finally get that first ear of sweet corn in which I think we had last week in our house. So that was great. Yeah, so as people are looking to whether it's their personal gardens or their roadside stands or farmers markets, or you've got, your neighbor grows a bunch and is going to drop off zucchini by the bundlefuls on your doorstep pretty soon. Thinking about that food storage. So I got to do a training yesterday. We really talked about like how do we store this food? How do we keep it from, going keeping it at best quality. So these can focus on, well, one, we got to start with shopping, right? We got to pick out foods that look really nice. So we're looking for foods that don't appear to have any visible signs of mold. If they're supposed to be firm, they're firm, they're not soft or wilted. So if you're getting lettuces or fresh herbs that are already starting to show signs of maybe wrinkling or wilting, or, especially herbs, they're just kind of flopping over, certainly pass those aside and look for ones that have better quality to them. And then when you get those home, think about what kinds of storage are appropriate. So some foods will do better at room temperature for a while. So thinking like peaches right now are coming into season. So typically you're going to get those. They are not going to be ripe just yet. And so leave those at room temperature for, it kind of depends. I would check on them every day, especially if they are, from a local grower, at least in Illinois or surrounding states. Check them every day, and as they start to ripen, then we're going to move them to cold storage. So put those in your refrigerator to chill for longer storage. But a lot of things like fresh tomatoes coming out of the garden, cucumbers, these will do well at room temperature for a little while. Tomatoes can get a little mealy texture if you refrigerate them for too long, but a short-term stint in the cold will be okay. And then for like sweet corn, the faster you can eat on that, the better. So generally having enough corn that you plan to eat in the next like 3-4 days is going to be good, because the plant is going to continue to turn the sugars in the sweet corn into starches. And so if you've ever had an ear of corn that was just kind of lacking in sweetness and a little bit more bland, that's probably older corn. And so it's just had time to convert those sugars into starches. And so keeping 3 things out. So we're going to try to reduce air. So if you are taking in say like maybe radishes, it's not really quite the season for radishes anymore, but you're maybe getting some radishes in, keeping the air out. So putting those in a sealed container. Your produce drawer in your refrigerator can be okay, but you may notice that they will soften a little faster than if you put them in their own separate container. So reducing air, this goes for pretty much all of our produce. You can put it in a produce bag, you can put it in a zip top baggie, something to just kind of keep the air out. We're also going to reduce heat. So if you are leaving things at room temperature, try to keep them out of direct sunlight. So if you've got a kitchen window in your kitchen, we're going to try to prove the produce. So as the sun moves through your house that morning or throughout the day, keeping the light off of your produce, because heat is just going to kind of speed up any ripening process, maybe faster than you want, or just kind of reduce the quality of that food. The last thing to consider is we've got reducing air, reducing heat, and then looking at excuse me, the temperature. So if the temperature in your house is a lot warmer, I noticed this in like the winter, my bananas ripen a whole lot faster in the summer than in the winter. So just being cautious with your fresh produce. If it's warmer in your kitchen or in your house, check on that produce a little faster. And if it is starting to get a little extra ripe and you don't want it quite extra ripe, move it to cold storage in your fridge to chill out for a little while till you get to it.
Is it too early to start thinking about canning, Caitlin? I know canning for at least the practices I've seen, tends to come kind of towards the end of the season. You get that final push of produce, and by the time it comes, you're just so busy with the school and the kids' activities that it's kind of like I just don't have time to make the things I was making over the summer, so we're just going to can it all. Is it too early to start thinking about canning?
Not at all. So this is a great time to start getting your equipment out. When you and I talked about grills earlier in the season, it's the same thing. your equipment, the storage, check it out. And then for pressure canners, we do free testing for pressure canner lids and gauges. So you can come find an extension office around the state in Illinois to test your local gauges. I think I help coordinate that program, so I think we are just about at every county in the state will have somebody available to test, which is awesome. But yeah, go for checking your equipment as well as getting your gauges tested if you're using a pressure canner. And then remember to think about beyond canning, right? You can, as you said, if you're wanting to wait until later in the season to can, great. And then if you've got stuff that you want to put up now, you can still do that. You can also look at dehydration, so drying some of your food. Maybe you want to turn some of the early tomatoes into, sun-dried tomatoes, although sun-drying in Illinois is a little challenging with our humidity. Maybe fermentation, if you've got, cabbages or other vegetables that you want to try to ferment or even pickle, this is a great time to do those. Or even just if you've got a freezer space, great thing to freeze. Having frozen sweet corn is a great convenience item to pop in your freezer, especially when you've got that local corn.
Very good. Very good. Well, Caitlin, I look at the clock. I've got about 1 minute left with you. Anything on summer produce, anything like that we didn't touch on, you want to put out there for us?
Yeah, so I just remind people about we talked about food safety earlier in the segment. So food safety for food preservation. So a reminder that we do water bath canning and pressure canning with different foods, and that's for safety reasons. So something like green beans, I know I get a lot of older canners that remember when the recommendation used to be to water bath can those, but we have current recommendations for pressure canning a lot of our low acid foods, so vegetables and meats. So thinking sweet corn, green beans, meats. Those need to be done in a pressure canner. So if you're curious about, why that is or are looking for current tested recipes, happy to support everybody at our website, extension.illinois.edu/food-preservation, or you can find us at a local office and we'll be happy to chat with you about canning.
Very good. Very good. Where do folks find their local office, Caitlin, or how do they find you on I know you do some blogging and things like that. How do they find those?
Yeah, so they can come visit us if you're looking for around the state, extension.illinois.edu. We'll get you to our main page, and then locally here in DeWitt, Macon, and Pike counties, our website is go.illinois.edu/DMP for DeWitt, Macon, Pike.
Very good. Caitlin, always good to see you. Thanks for making time for us.
Thanks.
Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator, University of Illinois Extension, our guest on the Zoom here this morning. Again, the morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news on the way.
WHOW.